Hi, this is Melissa Ainsley, and this is the 11 Intuitions podcast. Today is a little bit of a podcast where I'm just going to come and talk to you. I want to talk about animals, so if you have a soft spot in your heart, you are going to need Kleenex today. Spirit has warned me. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about today. I know it's about the Rainbow Bridge and the connection that we have with animals, and I'm just going to sit and see what Spirit wants to talk about, but I already have an idea of what it's going to be. Will I be crying by the end of this? If you are a betting person, I bet you that I am. So let's take bets. How long is it going to take? I'm thinking about 10 minutes, so let's get going. Let's go ahead and let me think about who my first animal was. I remember that we had a dog named Skippy. And, if I think back to my life now, I never would have had outside dogs. I always thought it was terrible. But we did have a dog named Skippy, and Skippy lived outside. Skippy lived on a chain. It was terrible. But, in the 70s, I don't know, did my dad know any better? I have no idea if he did or not. But Skippy lived in a doghouse behind our garage, and Skippy was on a chain. And I remember that people were not allowed to go back and visit Skippy. Skippy, I guess probably because he was not acclimated to people. He loved me. I know that. And the one thing that I do remember, it's very, very vivid in my head, is, I always told people, do not go back there. Do not go back and see the dog. I don't even remember back in the 70s if we had beware of dog signs or anything. But I remember I had a friend over, and I remember hearing the screaming. And that still sticks with me today. I'm 51 years old, and I can't have my daughter have friends over without that fear. It is a very, very ingrained fear, because I'm the one that saw my friend come to our back door with blood all over her face, because she went back there, she saw Skippy, and Skippy bit her face. And it was awful. And I remember having to call her dad, and it was just that fear. It was awful. And she had scars on her face. And back then, they didn't put the dog down. It was just something that I, to this day, still can remember. And I'm sure that, she does too. I don't talk to her anymore, but, it just is one of those things that you just never forget. You never forget that. I remember a time when my mother, when we lived in Ohio, our golden retriever got out, and there was a woman that was walking, and the golden retriever had gone and bit a woman. And I was screaming at my mother, help, Mom, help, help. And my mother was literally frozen in fear. I could not understand that. I had no idea why my mother, who was always there to help, could not move. She was like a statue. And I'm screaming, get help, get help, get help. And I remember this woman did sue us, and our golden retriever had to be kept behind the gate. And it was scary. It was just, I didn't understand this. I didn't understand animals. I do remember that we got Goldie from the shelter, and I do remember that they told us that there was an older woman that Goldie got taken from, and that the woman had put cigarettes out on her. So again, can you imagine being a dog, getting out of your house, and seeing an old woman like that? That's PTSD. We have PTSD. Animals have PTSD. And, I vividly have these memories in my life. Can you imagine what animals have? And, it's just so scary. I'm afraid to walk, because I took a walk with my greyhound. We were so happy. Took a walk with Vandy, and Vandy got attacked by another dog. Just came right out and attacked him. And he protected me, but he got bit, and, greyhounds have such thin skin, and we had to get him fixed. And the neighbor knew that this dog was aggressive, and the guy just up and moved. He didn't take care of any of the bills. It was expensive. But why was that dog like that? Why, was he protecting his place? Just like our golden retriever was, here's a dog walking out on the street. And, it now that I have this gift that I can talk to animals and find out why it is the way that they are, and I can help people with helping with animal behavior, it really goes back to something that happened to them when they were younger. And, it's so important to help them figure out you're okay, you're safe. Let's figure these things out. And, a lot of these animals we get are rescue animals. So you do not have the background on them. You don't know where their story comes from. I remember having a reading a couple weeks ago, and the dog just went nuts when the trash came. Well, this dog was a rescue, and the dog had PTSD from when the trash would come when he was out on the streets. And, these are things that you can understand when you get an animal communication reading. It just helps you to understand a little bit, why is my dog only going crazy on trash days? Well, there are things to it. We have a little Chiweenie who we got, and she was nothing but skin and bones when we got her. She was a rescue, and now she is aggressive around food. Well, can you imagine? You were probably loved by somebody. She had to have been somebody's dog, and then put out on the streets, and you had to forcibly find your own food. And, now she is safe. She gets fed all the time. But if someone else comes up to her food, she is very aggressive. Get away from my food. This is my food only. But we understand that. And we have had her for over 13 years. She still has not gotten over that. So, it's really ingrained in these animals, especially rescue animals. What happened to them? Even if it's over just a few weeks, they're still going to have these issues. And we just have to understand, have to have some grace with them, because we don't know what they went through. And they come to us broken, but they also come to us with such love. And that's what this podcast is going to be about today, is some of the animals that came to me with such love. And they also leave us with broken hearts. But I believe, and this is what I share with everyone, that as many animals as I have had, that each one of them leaves a space for another animal that I did not know I was going to take in. And I want to share a story about Tank. Tank is one of our newest animals. We got him from Healing Heart Rehab, which is located in Temple and in Thorndale. And we help Healing Heart Rehab. We help by giving some of our proceeds from our readings to their rescue. And Tank had been there for over a year. And when they first got Tank, it was during the tornado in Temple, Texas. And so they had been taking care of him for a very long time. And we had a Great Pyrenees named Luna. And Luna was sick, and we knew that Luna was going to pass away. And we also had another dog named Bandit, and Bandit had lost his brother. Bandit had also lost my dad, and Bandit was very, very sad. Bandit and Luna really didn't get along very well, but Bandit felt that he needed a companion, and we knew that we needed to get somebody for Bandit because we did not want Bandit to go down another bout of depression. So I kept hearing Tank in my head, and we had gone to another rescue that day called Pearl's Place in Temple, and we had met a dog named Popeye, and I heard the name Tank, and I was like, that's weird. And then we went out to Healing Heart Rehab, and I saw the name Tank on one of the cages, and my daughter said, look, there's Tank. And I was like, that's interesting. And this was actually before Luna passed away. This was several weeks before Luna passed away. And when Luna passed away, I had a reading by somebody, and they said something about following the leads or something. You'll be guided to it. And my dad used to work at the tank plant in Lima, Ohio. And as soon as I heard the name Tank again, I was like, oh my gosh, Tank. And so I went on Healing Heart Rehab's website, and I saw Tank, and Tank had a curly tail. And I knew right then and there that was the sign that I was meant to see. Because my mom and dad had a dog named Curly, and Curly had a curly tail. That's how he came up with the name Curly. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the dog. That's who we were meant to see. And I didn't see Tank that day. I'm not sure where Tank was. Maybe I did see him, but I don't remember seeing him. And so I messaged them the next day and I said, oh my gosh, Tank is the one I'm meant to get. And I told them that story and they're like, oh, wow, that is amazing. So we made an appointment to go get Tank, and we picked Tank up, walked right in, and Tank came out and came right up to us. Tank knew this was his day. He was ready to come home with us. He knew, this is my mom and dad. This is my new sister, and I'm going home with them. And it just amazed me. Like, how did this dog know? He was here for a year. He knew that he was leaving. He immediately got on the leash and went to the car. It was so amazing. So we brought him home, and him and Bandit didn't get along right away, but it took him a few days, and now they're best friends. But it also leads me to the next story of Sandy. Sandy was also at Healing Heart Rehab, and I did not see her picture when I looked for Tank. And there was a reason for that, because I was not planning on getting 2 dogs. There was no way in hell I was planning on getting 2 dogs. But when I was looking for Tank, I couldn't sleep that night. And I was looking on their Facebook page because I wanted to see if there were any pictures of Tank, because we hadn't gotten Tank yet. And all of a sudden, I came upon this video of this dog, and I immediately started crying because this dog reminded me of my dog Joey. Now, we're going to go back many, many years when right before I got pregnant with my 13-year-old daughter, Hadley. We went to the pound, and there were 2 dogs in a cage. And the one dog that we wanted wasn't available, but there was another dog hiding, so scared, and that was Joey. And Joey this is a funny combination, but Joey was, and excuse me if I mispronounce this, I can never pronounce it right, but a dachshund, Dachshund, and a black lab. And I was like, oh my gosh, that mixture is crazy. But he looks like a wiener dog, but was stocky. His legs were stocky. And I got him, and we took him to the vet. And this poor little dog was heartworm positive. He had kennel cough. And he had to be treated for all of that. Poor little guy was so sick, but you would never know it. And we were planning a trip to go to Tennessee. And that's when I found out I was pregnant. I was so sick the whole trip, morning sickness. But this little dog came with us to Tennessee because he was not allowed to, jump or anything like that because he was undergoing treatment for heartworm. And that became my love affair with Joey. Joey was just my baby, my sweet, sweet, sweet baby. And when Joey passed away, it was like my world died. So when I saw the video of Sandy, I was like, oh my God, that's Joey. That's Joey. I just know it is. It was just like he was staring at me, but it was a blonde version of Joey. But I knew it was him. I just knew it was. He had come back to me. And so I messaged them about Sandy, and they said, you want a second dog? And I'm like, yes. But Sandy had already been spoken for. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. Just put me down a second. But I can tell you that it's going to fall through, and I'm going to get her. They're like, okay. Do you want me to message them and tell them that you really want her? I said, nope, just let it play through, but do not be surprised when I pick up Tank and she disappears. So when we went to go pick up Tank, I saw Sandy, and I told myself, you are not to fall in love with her. You just say hi to her, and that's it. Do not pet her, nothing. Because you will not be able to not leave with her. And so I did not. I just watched her play, and she was just so cute. So, 3 days later, I got a message that said Sandy's owners, the ones that wanted to get her, it fell through. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it hit me. I was like, are you kidding me? Now we're going to have 4 dogs again? Oh, no. What have I done to myself? So I told my husband, and he said, I know how much you love Joey. And I know you have been talking about this dog nonstop, and every time you watch that video, you cry. And I'm like, honey, I just cannot explain it. So a week later, after we got Tank, we drove again and we went and got Sandy. And it was so different this time. It was like when we went in to get her, she knew there's my mommy. And she just sat up with me. She was such a big girl. And we brought her home. And she fit in so well. She fit in with Tank, but she wasn't in the same spot with Tank. And she fit in so well with Bandit. And those three are like the best of buddies. They just love each other. They play with each other. They are so wonderful. And the things that she does are just like the things that Joey did. And it's just like having Joey again, but having a puppy version of Joey. And it was like my heart got replaced. The hole in my heart was replaced. And I know it sounds crazy, but it was like he came back. He came back into her. And I know it's not him, but when I look at her, oh, okay, what time are we at? I don't know what time we are, but here we are. Here I am crying. But 21 minutes. Okay, so I was 10 minutes wrong. It was like he's back. And she is just the sweetest angel. And I am so glad that she's here. And this morning, I was talking to my husband today at lunch, and I said, I want to tell you the sweetest story, honey. I was taking a shower, and I got out, and I could hear her she does this little whine. I call her squeaky jaws. And I opened the door, and she got so excited, like, oh, it's my mommy. And then she went running, and I heard in my head, they said, just wait, she's going to go get the boys. And Tank comes running in, and he's so excited. He's like, oh my gosh, it's my mommy. And then Bandit comes running in and he's like, oh my gosh, it's my mommy. And that is what I want to share with you all is that here we go. Here comes the waterworks. Pay attention to the way that your animals communicate, because she literally went running to go tell them mom's out the shower. And Tate came running in and he was so excited. And then Bandit came running in. He was so excited. And I just wanted to go see, what did she say to him? But they talk to each other. They communicate. These are the things that people miss. You know, we're so much on our phones. We're so not paying attention. But these animals, they communicate with each other. They have their own language. They're so bonded with us. These are the things that we miss. And so her name's not Sandy anymore. Her name is Daisy. And we got her in May. So her name is Daisy Mae. And I just love calling her Daisy Mae. Daisy Mae, Daisy Mae. And then we call Tank, we call him Tanky. I call him Tanky Poo. And they are just so sweet. And you would never know that the three of them haven't known each other since birth. And they are just so sweet together. And so now I want to share with you the stories about the Rainbow Bridge and how because of the Rainbow Bridge, we now have these dogs. And it was because of loss. It was because of loss we have them. So I looked up some of my Facebook posts, and I want to read to you a poem called The Rainbow Bridge, and the author is unknown. It says, there is a bridge connecting heaven and earth. It's called the Rainbow Bridge because of its many colors. Just this side of the Rainbow Bridge, there is a land of hills, meadows, and valleys with lush green grass. When a beloved pet dies, he goes to this place where there is food and water and warm spring weather. The old and frail animals are young again. Those who are maimed are made whole again. They play all day with each other. There is only one thing missing. They are not with their special person who loved them on earth. So each day they run and play until the day comes when one suddenly stops playing and looks up. The nose switches, the ears are up, the eyes are staring, and this one suddenly runs from the group. You have been seen, and when you and your special friend meet, you take them in your arms and embrace. Your face is kissed again and again, and you look once more into the eyes of your trusting pet. Then you cross the Rainbow Bridge together, never again to be separated. Again, the author is unknown. So I want to share with you a few stories about animals that I have lost. And after having this gift, I heard from each one of these animals only minutes after their passing. So let's talk about Luna, the Great Pyrenees, that passed away just recently. This one was the most amazing one. So Luna passed away just a few short months ago. And it only took her 6 minutes to start talking to me. So my daughter was holding Luna She was at my feet, and my daughter was at my feet, sobbing, holding Luna. And 6 minutes, I timed it, 6 minutes, she began talking to me. And so I wanted to grab my phone because I wanted to be able to tell everybody what she said. And this is what she told me. And I started typing it. It says, Luna, it's been 6 minutes. Heaven is beautiful, Mommy. Thank you for helping me cross over. I'm sorry you are sad. Grandma and Grandpa are here, and all of the animals you have ever loved are here. Please tell Hadley and Hallie and Daddy I love them. Please don't be sad. I'm not hurting anymore. Grandpa said I can come visit you. I won't be scared to see you. I saw him every night. It scared me. You were the best, Mommy. You really loved me. Daddy was so nice to me, and I loved watching him work every day. I need to go play now. It's so beautiful up here. Tell Hadley she will have another doggy to love on very soon. Grandma is sending that doggy to her. Emmy needs her love right now, because she won't understand why I'm gone. I love you. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. It's heaven up here. I love you. Your mom is beautiful. Her light, her wings. She loves you. It's so beautiful. That was on May 19th, 2025, just a few months ago. It's a lot for a dog to say just a few minutes after it passed away. But that's one thing I want to share with you. When you struggle, when you say, did I do the right thing? I want this message to be for you, to know that they go over that rainbow bridge and they're healed and they're with our loved ones. And my dad so truly loved Luna. And Luna came back to tell us things like she loved laying on the couch watching my husband work. You know, she was so scared of nighttime. She wouldn't want to be out in the living room by herself. But my dad would come visit. We caught him on cameras. He would turn the light on in the living room, and that scared her. You know, so she, came through and said that, I won't be scared to visit you. And he said I can come visit you. And that leads me to a story about our dog Bandit. Bandit is very sensitive to spirit, and over the past several months, Bandit has been sleeping in the living room at night. Like, he won't come in, and so we've been leaving him out there. We have a cage set up. We had a cage set up for Tank, and now Bandit likes to sleep out there. But it always corresponds to the time when my dad turns the light on. And I know that Luna's out there with him too, because we catch the orbs on the camera. So there's several orbs. There's my dad, there's Joey, there's Luna. And I know that Bandit feels comfort out there. Last night, my daughter wanted to close up all of the doors and turn the light out, and Bandit was still in the cage, and she's like, Bandit, come on, you need to go in the bedroom. And I said, no, leave him there. She's like, why is he there? And I said, because Grandpa's out there. He's visiting. He does this every single night, and he's been doing that for quite a few weeks now. And, if your animals change their behavior, things like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're sick or something. They could be visiting with someone. If you have an animal that has passed away, they could be visiting with that animal. We're in the bedroom. There's so much going on. There's the TV going on, but in the living room, it's quiet. It's a quiet place for them to be. I could just imagine what Tank and Daisy thought of when they came into our house. We have spirits, orbs everywhere, it passed animals, that kind of a thing. I do remember when I tried to take Daisy Mae with me in August to go visit my daughter up in Dallas, and Tank and Bandit went absolutely bonkers. And I don't blame them because, with Bandit, the last few dogs that we took never came home, and Bandit was beside himself. And Daisy, she didn't know what to do without her brothers. And I had to drive halfway to meet my husband. He had to come up and get her. And they weren't okay until they were all three together again. So, animals know and are bonded more than we think that they are. So we have to pay attention to that. And, I knew that she was not going to be okay for several days while I was up there. And my husband was like, they're not okay without her. And so, we put their needs before our own and had to reunite them so they would all be okay. So let me tell you about my cat named Trevor Michael. I had Toby Michael and I had Trevor Michael. So when I lived in Ohio, I dated a guy named Michael. And so we adopted 2 cats. Actually, it was 3 cats. We had Toby, and then we had, I am so sorry I'm blanking on the name, but it was another teen name. And that cat died within a few days. And so then we went back and then we got Trevor. And Trevor was just my heart. He was my sweet baby. He was always around me. He was like literally just wrapped around my finger. And when I would work, he would sit next to me. I'd work from home. He would sit next to me. I put a bed next to my computer desk. He'd sit right next to me. And like literally when he died, part of me died with him. Just my baby boy, Trevor. And when one day I woke up and I just heard this mournful cry coming down the hallway. And he was just like pulling himself to me. And I just didn't know what to do. And I had to go to work that day. That was a day I could not miss. And I just wrapped him up. I told him, it's okay to go. Just please go. It's okay to go. And I came home and he was sleeping and I knew he wasn't going to be okay. And so we took him to the vet and he died peacefully. And it just broke me. And I just knew, I knew where he went. I knew he went to heaven. I knew he went with all of the other animals. And then several of our other animals died right after him. So it was just a lot of loss. I want to share with you how loss brought 2 of our animals to us. I'm sitting on Facebook. We have had quite a lot of loss in our life with animals. And I see this post from someone that says, we have these 2 cats that were very beloved and are going to have to go to the shelter. Lost my friend, and he has like close to 2,000 Facebook friends. And nobody will take these cats. And I don't want to have to take them to the shelter, but I'm going to have to. And I was like, my gosh, that's terrible. And right before that happened, some weird things started happening in our house. Like the lights started flickering, going on and off. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. What's going on? The spirit's here. What's going on? And I even told my husband, I'm like, something weird's going on here, you know? And that's when I opened up my phone and right there it was on Facebook. So I told my husband, I said, okay, I know this sounds crazy. Whenever I say that, he's like, crap. And I said, I think these cats are meant to go to us. And he said, I think you're crazy. I said, I know. He said, out of all of these Facebook friends, like nobody. And I said, I know it sounds crazy, honey, but I just know that this is a sign we're meant to take those cats. And he's like, okay, I trust you. And so I messaged the guy and I made sure, I'm like, I will be your last resort. Like your ride to the shelter. Like they need to be loaded up. Like I'm your last resort, really. And nobody stepped up. And I said, okay, I'll take them. And so we went up and we couldn't get one of them, the orange one, which if you know about orange cats, they're, a little bit spicy. And their name were Toto and Ozzy. And so Toto is just the sweetest kitty, like a blue Russian type of a cat. And I had just lost my blue Russian Tigger. Loved, adored that cat. And so I knew this was a sign. I knew it was. Ozzy, they were bonded. So of course Ozzy had to come. Ozzy was a spitfire. Like we could not catch this cat. So I came back up, got the cat. And I'm not lying when I tell you, we didn't see this cat for like 3 months. Like she just didn't want to be. And it took a long time for these cats to acclimate. But we had a new spirit in the house. And this man came to visit his cats every single night. Toto would meow every single night. And so I'd pull up the cameras and there would be the orb and there would be Toto. And you can't make these things up. You just can't. But this is what happens in our home, And this happens all the time now. He comes and visits his kitties. And when I tell you that Ozzy is a money pit, she is. I mean, that poor baby has had so many surgeries, so much money, thousands of dollars, that baby. And we just were the right people for her, I guess. I mean, I don't know how many people would put that much money into a cat, but she has no teeth anymore. All of her teeth just rotted out. She just had to have another surgery, $200 because she had an ear infection and was moving her ears too much, and she broke a blood vessel in her ear, so she had to have her ear fixed. And so my assistant Caitlin said, "You are the only person that I know that has to have her cat have emergency surgery because her ear busted." So now Ozzy's ear, she only has one ear up and one ear down. And so, like, you just can't make this stuff up for Ozzy. She has to constantly be on flea medicine because she's allergic to fleas. But she's not as spicy anymore. She really isn't. She is the sweetest, most loving, caring, unless you are trying to do something to her. But she loves my husband. Just loves, adores him. Just loves and adores him. So does Toto. And they are just the sweetest, most loving cats that we have. And to say that we rescue animals, we probably have it. There's probably an invisible sign on our house that says these people are gullible, they rescue animals. But there is a closed sign because there will be no more animals there. I remember, and I am very ashamed of saying this, but there was a time where I would go to the vet and come home with a cat every single time. And my husband was like, "You have got to stop this." And I said, "Well, the vet said it was cheaper than therapy." No lie. Absolutely no lie. The vet said that. And he said, "You're not allowed to go by yourself anymore." And I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, I can't say no. We had 10 cats at one time. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But now we have 4 cats, 4 dogs. And, it keeps people from coming over. It really does. I'm okay with that. We had a salesman come over a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Hey, I've got to use the restroom." I'm like, "Sorry, you can't make it through these dogs. Do you see them? We have a gate in front of the door. Like, I can't open this door without them, like, And he's like, "Yeah, I'll go down to Buc-ee's." I'm like, "That's a great idea. It's a great idea, But they are just loving, caring, sweet animals. They really do just want nothing but love. And we're just trying our best. We really are. That's about all I can say for it. And, to be able to do animal communication readings for people, when I say that, people can go through a medium reading and be fine, but as soon as I pull through an animal, they are crying. And it's the honest to God's truth. We are so bonded to our animals because it is just unconditional love. Absolutely unconditional love. And, we've had so many animals. We had retired racing greyhounds who we adored. Bandy and Michelle, loved them. Thought we knew everything about owning a greyhound. Wrong. We were idiots, really. So when they passed away, we had a chance to get a greyhound puppy. We were dumbasses. I'm just telling you. You are an idiot if you think that you have a home, you have a 2-year-old, and can have a greyhound puppy. Just no. You should never think about that unless you have a ton of land. And unfortunately, we had to rehome them. It's embarrassing to say. It really is. When you have to fill those paperworks out and say, "Have you ever rehomed a puppy?" Yes, we have. We have. Very much so, we have. And the reason is because when you look out in your backyard and that dog has your 2-year-old in its mouth and is running back and forth and thinks that your daughter is its chew toy, it has to stop, And the only responsible thing was to return that dog. And we grieved every single day after that because we loved Mowgli. Loved him. But let me tell you another story here. We were able to get him back. I say he went to finishing school. He went and got manners, and he came back, and he was a different dog. And he fit in so well here. And he went in the backyard and broke his leg again. He broke his leg when he was here one time first, and then he broke his leg again. And he just was nothing but just fun, loving, just everything. And he loved this family dearly. He loved our family. But unfortunately, within 24 to 48 hours, we lost 2 animals. And we believe that they both were poisoned. We don't know how, but one was Mowgli and one was a cat that we had. And they both were in the backyard at the same time. And it was devastating. Did not tell me about Mowgli. They found him in the backyard and he buried him. I had to go say goodbye to him. And then the cat. Same thing with the cat. So they both had to have been poisoned. And we don't know what happened. It just is devastating. We weren't meant to be in our lives for very long. But then we got Luna. And that's what I mean by, if you only have an animal for a very short time, you don't know when the next one is coming. They do. Spirit does. There's a hole in your heart. You're not replacing them. You are leaving a space for another animal, and it fills your heart. And it's really, to me, getting another animal after such a short time was really the only thing that helped me heal my heart. It was so hard. It was so hard not to have them here, because when you lose a person, you can't go out and replace them. You just can't. But an animal, there are so many animals that need homes. And, we all say, I'm never going to get another animal. Just never going to do it. But when you are meant to get that next one, it's usually when you least expect it. You could be on Facebook and see a picture. Never thought we were going to get Tank. Again, we've been working with this Healing Heart Rehab for well over a year. Tank was never in the picture for us. Never would have thought that. But as soon as Luna passed away, all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, we're meant to get Tank. That's weird. But do you see how that happens? It's like Spirit knew all along. And Healing Heart Rehab couldn't wonder why Tank, he was a great dog. Why wouldn't he be adopted yet? Because he was waiting for us. We weren't ready yet. Our dog hadn't passed away yet. That's the story. That's the thing that people don't get, is sometimes their animal just hasn't passed away yet, or there isn't a space yet. You're just not ready yet. But when you do lose your animal, please don't look at it as you're trying to replace them. You're not. You're getting another animal to put that hole and put a Band-Aid over it with new love. And there are so many wonderful rescues out there who pick these dogs up or these cats up off the streets and fix them. Tank has a horrible scar on the back of him, and had they not decided we need to fix this puppy, we wouldn't have him. So the choices that they made a year ago, and they took care of this dog for a year, not knowing that we would be the ones that would adopt him. We weren't ready yet. They were holding him for us. And I just want to tell them thank you. Thank you for taking care of him, because when we tuck him in every night next Daisy Mae, thankful for him. I just didn't know that he was going to be in our family, but that had they not done the work to save him, we wouldn't have him. And to see him play with Daisy, and to see him play with Bandit, he helped heal Bandit's broken heart. So that's what I want you guys to take from today, is that there are people out there who do this work. They do this rescue work, and they don't know why. It's hard. They never get a day off. It's a thankless job for them, but they keep on doing it for the love of the animals and for the happy stories. But the animals come broken, and we hope that they can leave happy. But I want to let them know that sometimes it could take up to a year for them to find their home. So please, if you do have an animal that has passed away and you say, I'm never doing this again, please remember the story of Tank, an animal I knew about. We just didn't know he was meant for us. But I go to bed every night thanking God that he's here with us. Because as soon as Luna went over that rainbow bridge, she knew, and she told us. So if you'd like to help us raise money for Healing Heart Rehab or our other charity that we help, Pearl's Place, you can book a reading with us. We give 50% of the readings proceeds to them so they can help animals. they can continue helping the dogs that they help. And I know right now that intake is getting close to being closed or is still closed, and they need all the help that they can get. And I'm very excited about this event that we're going to this weekend. It is Rescue Magazine's Pet Extravaganza, and we are doing animal communication. And this will be your first for us to do this event. So I'm very excited about that. So I hope you have gotten something from this podcast. I hope you have learned a little bit about animal communication and how we communicate with animals. It's a very sacred thing, something I don't take lightly. And please share this podcast with people. If you've had somebody who has lost an animal recently, if you would like a reading for someone who has lost an animal, a friend, we do that also. You can find out all the information on our podcast at www.11